Hello and welcome to this insight into one of the Hague Humanity Hub's members, Find Out Why. My name is Janet Anderson and I'm here with Deborah Allen Rogers. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Janet. So nice to be with you today. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
And Deborah's one of the founders, the co-founders of Find Out Why. And I wanted to ask Deborah about the problem that they are bringing and they are offering to hackers, teams of hackers who are going to be working together at the Hackathon for Good. So we'll come back later in the podcast to understand a bit more about you, Deborah, and to understand a bit more about Find Out Why. But just to start with, take me into this problem. What is the problem that you are dealing with? It's something to do with big technology, society, and I've seen capital D, capital F deepfakes being sort of thrown around. What's going on here?
Well, it's such an interesting topic, and it's one that is actually a pleasure to talk about because it's the contrast between the common good and harm that often we get exposed to in the world, and the internet is no different than any other aspect of civil society. But what is so interesting about this deepfake alert challenge and what is the problem is, for us, what is the solution? We're very minded towards solutions. And so we don't really see the deepfake. I would submit that we don't see technology as a problem. We don't see the internet as a problem. We don't even see predatory behavior is problematic and it's criminal. It has a criminal element. And the ability to navigate around deepfakes is something that is very interesting to us. The word deepfake is relatively new in the lexicon.
Let me understand that. So the problem isn't the technology and everything. The problem is how to navigate.
Well, for us, it is at Find Out Why, because we promote digital fluency. We don't do what is commonly called as pearl clutching, in the sense of, oh my God, the internet is so horrible and, bad people. Yes, that's always that exists. And we are very respectful of that. So it's not that we see the technology as the problem, but we see technology more as a solution, to be honest. And so we gear ourselves towards the solution.
So with deepfakes, is it that people are not recognizing them and they need some method of doing that? Or is it that people are sharing them too much and shouldn't? What are people doing with harmful content that they should not be doing?
Well, I don't want to present myself as a deepfake expert, because I'm not. But I can say this: 96%, at least that was one of the statistics has shown that 96% of deepfakes are directed towards women and targeting them and placing them in pornography to ruin their reputation. So most people know the concept of deepfake as something that started as predatory against women and putting substituting their faces in the idea of like some kind of a porn scenario. What it is now known as is they even saw it here in the Netherlands, when you can take the leader of the nation and put another mouth on his and change his voice, and all of a sudden it looks like you're looking at a genuine video of the person speaking, unless you're savvy and can see which things aren't quite right. Instinctually, there's something fake about it. So deepfake, I'm sorry.
So is it that people can't spot those kinds of fake content, or is it that what they do with the fake content?
I appreciate the fact that you keep asking to go deeper and to focus more, because it's like the groundwork of what deepfake is based on manufactured or created algorithms. Something created by a human being encoding, and then the machine takes over and perpetuates more of it. Right. And so that's not all bad. It's not all good. It's something there's a spectrum of it. And from a creativity standpoint, this is why I keep going away from the alarmist perspective of the harmful side and can people detect it or not, is less of our interest, but more of when it's used against someone, then do you have a tool to navigate, recognize, and even use it as Exhibit A if you need to go and get some sort of a resolution to the harm that it may have done. Okay, so that's one side of it. The other side of it is technology. We call deepfake technology, but it's just technology. You know, writing is technology. Painting is technology. When we use the word deepfake, we sometimes over-exaggerate the concept of its nefarious intent because it's really just manufactured content. But manufactured content that's intended to harm is what we're referring to in this context as deepfake, as disinformation, as lies, as fake. You know, fake meant to mislead you into thinking something that is not true, that could be harmful to you or to others.
When I'm thinking about sort of navigating the world of information, I'm personally increasingly worried about how easy it is to get sucked in to false information and how easy it is to not think before you share something. So I'm wondering whether you're looking at some kind of a tool that will help people like me to, I mean, just to understand what it is I'm seeing or to think before I share.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do, but we're doing it in a way, or at least our dream is to do it in a way that is a self-reflective tool as well. So we have the idea of the deepfake alert, you know, that our programmers, you know, the hackers, our programmers will sit and design so that it can sift and sort through information and verify that which is source and that which is manufactured after source, which is created yet again as not original source. So there's that aspect of the sifting and sorting. But what we want to do for our challenge and with our coders is also create the reflecting tool, which is your own data analytics as you navigate, much like you would on Spotify. So if you're, you know, if you have a Spotify playlist and you say, I want to know what I was listening to 5 years ago, what was I super interested in? Who am I? The cool thing is being able to know yourself, not only by looking in a mirror, but also looking at your own data and being your own analysis of what interests me, what moves me. And our dream is this community afterwards that says, look at this cool tool. Look how much disinformation I almost sent, but didn't because I saw it on my deepfake alert tool. You know, and then you start sort of having an identity of somebody who's got collective empowerment and personal agency, not at the mercy of just your own instincts. Your instincts plus this tool help you understand how you navigate and share information that interests you in the ecosystem of information online. So the deepfake alert tool is the tool that gets you the analytics, but the reflection tool gets you these beautiful data visuals that reflect who you are and you know, ways in which you're already a lot more empowered than you realize, and you're pretty excited to see that you're even smarter than you thought you were.
I imagine there's a large group of people around the world already thinking about this because it's part of, I'm sure, what you read about regularly and I read about regularly. So what do you imagine can come out of this kind of meeting of programmers and hackers that will push that boulder up the hill a little bit?
Well, one of the most exciting parts of that question is that this hackathon is happening in The Hague, the city of peace and justice. I mean, it's happening everywhere because of the fact that it's online, but it's rooted in The Hague. So the fact that it's the hackathon for good, and it's going to be an open source tool, you know, that will be used in the open world. So it's not like we have control over once it's created who's going to use it, but it will be in the commons. And so that is an extremely exciting aspect of it to us. The other thing I think that answers your question, I mean, just the excitement of being together in this digital space with like-minded people that are delighted, by technology, like they're creative in this space. They love thinking about it. They're intrigued and inspired by outsmarting the bad guy. You know, it's just fun. It's like, you know, the gamification of many things is like, let's just outsmart and find the workaround so that we can't be at the mercy of somebody that would want to ruin my reputation for example, and the potential going forward to work with us at Find Out Why in the Digital Fluency Lab.
Your organization, Find Out Why, is also a member of the Hague Humanity Hub, which is why we're talking today. And that's a group of people who are working like you towards more peaceful and just world. Do you see that as a space that also helps in innovation and coming up with new ideas? How do you relate to it as an organization?
Well, I would submit that the Hague Humanity Hub, it feels like our home base, you know, in a home-based country, in a home-based city. It's our home base for Find Out Why because of the fact that we were immediately welcomed, and then we were encouraged, and we were able to accelerate our mission very quickly because of the amount of support that happens, you know, at the Hague Humanity Hub. The other thing I would say about it is that it is a phenomenal incubation and curation location for all ages and all interests. And so when you go, I mean, obviously we've been doing this since lockdown, and we just entered another work from home sort of, you know, suggested mandate. So we're doing this on Zoom instead of together at the hub as we expected. When you go to the Hague Humanity Hub and you realize you're part of this collective empowerment scenario, you know, the principles of openness are collaboration, transparency, sharing, and empowerment, right? And so if you think about the openness that the Hague Humanity Hub represents, Jill Wilkinson, and the fact that she connects people like this, she just immediately will connect. She'll see something, say something, and before you know it, you're connected to exactly who you need to be connected to, is the network effect, right? So I think as a networking environment, I mean, I'm coming from New York City. I consider it very similar. You know, I often feel like the Netherlands is another part of New York. The Hague feels like a neighborhood of New York City to me often, but there is a tremendous amount of openness of the, let's try it. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. So it is exhilarating to be a member. It is empowering to be in the group because of the sharing aspect and the collaboration that's possible, even on site or online, because, you know, we've been doing this online and we've benefited greatly because they don't really feel like there's a digital divide. So let's Zoom, no problem.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for spending some time with me. I'm really excited by your particular challenge, but also by the idea of the hackathon and what the whole of the hackathon represents, because I know that it's also dealing with some really significant issues like food security, flooding, salinization. By the time people listen to this, maybe we'll already have the results, but for me, it doesn't feel like it's the actual results that matter. It's the fact of actually doing it. I'm wondering what you would say, Deborah, to anybody else who might think about getting involved with putting a challenge like this together, sort of taking up an opportunity like this. Is it worth all the hassle?
Well, I love that question because it gives me the chance to sort of gush about how much it is worth the hassle, you know, because it's actually not a hassle. The way they work with us is extremely supportive. So they keep us on track, you know, as well, you know, because we're doing a lot of other projects, but they're such a solid team at the Hackathon for Good that they make sure that they keep you like good project managers. They keep you on track. But one of the things I wanted to say about why it's worth it in the case of Find Out Why, for example, in our area, you know, we're, like you said, food security, national security, we're working, you know, in our information realm that we're in the hackathon for, and information and disinformation and the misuse of information, we're challenge owners alongside the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Justice, for example, right? And we're from civil society. We're not institutional. We're from a not-for-profit, from civil society. And when you think of, I say this when we meet together with our groupings, that information is just information. I'm trying to start a new term, just as in justice, just information. And also to take it down a notch from the alarmist nature, right? We should be alarmed when it's time to be alarmed, and we should just be navigating when it's time to navigate. And oftentimes in the internet, we get alarmed when we shouldn't be, and we lose track of what we were doing, and we sort of tamp down our own creativity out of fear, right? And it's just information when you can put it together for good, just information in the sense of information for justice. And I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite websites, and it's Information is Beautiful. And it's this concept of looking at information and seeing the beauty of it in a data visual that is designed with information designers, digital designers, computer designers, to express what's happening in a visual rather than in just text or just audio. And so you see a new way of looking at information. And there's another thing I have to bring up. Paul Ekman's work on the Atlas of Emotions with Dalai Lama, talking about navigating through the emotional space online, right? What are our emotions? Fear, anger, disgust, sadness, joy. How do we navigate? When Elen and I think about find out why, holding our device, holding our laptop or holding our handheld smartphone, navigating the world online, we know we're in that space emotionally as well. So the navigation tools for doing it in a beautiful way, in a way that reflects our values, that reflects justice, that reflects, the generation of common good. That is what excites us about working together in the Hackathon for Good as a member of civil society with coders who want to have fun designing this tool and the self-reflection tool that will go with it. So is it worth the hassle? It's worth the pleasure, I would submit, because it has been a complete pleasure for us, honestly.
Thank you very much for spending time, Deborah Allen Rogers, and great to hear that encouragement for others whenever it's possible to kind of jump in and work with other organizations and try new ways forward. The Hague Humanity Hub will try to facilitate that, and we'll try to make sure everybody gets a space on different platforms. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having us.